Welcome to Introduction to Adobe Premiere. I wanted to just get you through the basic pop-up windows that show up when you start Premiere that intimidate most people and they don't want to begin in Premiere. So just open Adobe Premiere. You can follow along with me or simply just watch the video. When you first open Premiere, you're going to be asked if you want to create a new project or open an existing product. Obviously, for this, we're going to start a new project. Your recent projects will also appear. But to start a new project, you get this new project dialog box here, which has a couple of different options. Many are already preset to the best for many of the stuff, or much of the stuff that we'll do in class. The location here is the location of the project file inside of Premiere. I usually do not change the location of the project file. That way, it's just the default. Everything seems to run a little smoother if I don't put that in a different location. Then the name of the project file, if I ever needed to retrieve it, again, it's going to be saved in the recent files there at the beginning. So we'll call this one test as the name of the project file. Then at school here, we often get this scratch disk error. If you get that, just say yes. It's not a big deal. Next, you have the sequence. The sequence is basically a timeline, and what it's asking for is basically the properties of the camera that you use to record the video. And you can get this from your camera's manufacturer or their website. In our class, we'll either do DV and TSC, which is our Sony cameras, widescreen 32, which is a standard definition. Then we have our high definition flip cameras where we have 25 frames per second, 1080p 25. So HDV for the flip, the Sony is a DV and TSC. None of that stuff's really that important for today's activity or the beginning activities of creating titles. Down here you'll name your timeline. This will be also the name of the file when you export. So we'll call this one test. The same as the project. That's what you'll do often anyway. Then it takes Adobe a while to open up. It'll actually even take longer on your own computer. But make sure you give it plenty of time to open up, set up, and get running before you try to do anything. Again, just trying to eliminate problems before they occur. Now, I'd just like to explain the window real quick. We've got a menu bar, just like in a Word program or a Microsoft program. We've got this up here, which I'll refer to as a Project Explorer, where it's just all of the elements that we've imported into this project. Right now, we don't really have anything. If you create titles, if you import video, audio clips, they'll appear up here in this upper left-hand task pane. In the middle here, you'll either have a source or an effect control. Those are the only two that we'll pretty much use in this upper middle task pane. We'll talk more about that later. Next here in this far right task pane is your preview window. Your video as it appears, as it plays in the timeline, will appear in the upper right-hand corner. Here in the middle is your entire movie timeline. You can have multiple layers of video, multiple layers of audio. On the right-hand side, way over here, I always squish it way down, are your tools. Audio, don't mess with that, but your tools here. Sometimes I'll use some of these to split the video off into sections and stuff like that, but for the most part I don't use those, so I shrink them down. On the left-hand side, I use this window a lot. These are my just my effects that are available. So Adobe has preset effects that are available, audio effects, video effects, and you can expand any one of those folders by simply clicking the triangle. And the video effects is what we'll be using on our first assignment to create a title. Okay, so if we that's basically the Adobe Premiere window. It's a drag and drop interface. When you want to bring something from your Project Explorer up here to your timeline, you can simply grab it, hold it, drag it down, and drop it on your timeline. If you want to add an effect to something, you can simply grab it, drag it, and drop it on your timeline. So all of those things are drag and drop, and you'll see more once you get actual videos imported and audio imported, or you start creating your own titles. That's it for an introduction to Adobe Premiere.